Okay. Looking good so far. I like this. So this package came to me from Creality. Now you might remember the name from their 3D printing. They're one of the global leaders in like consumer level, like FDM, that's the filament style, and also the resin style printers. And a few years ago, they got into the laser engraving, laser cutting systems. They had a 5-watt system, then a 10-watt. That was their first Falcon. Now they got the Falcon 2 earlier this year, I think February. They saw my channel, reached out and said, "Can we send you one?" I said, "Sure, send it over." So I just took it out of the box here just to lay it out so we can look at the stuff. Came along with some little stickers and all that kind of fun stuff. They gave you some samples to work with, even some stainless steel. We got some 304 stainless here. Now, apparently you can, because we got some nice power, you can actually color stainless steel from the heat that you're doing as well. So I want to give that a try. I got some other things I want to shoot too. All sorts of good stuff. There's obviously instructions. It's got a roller attachment that's over here as well. So I got to put this all together. It's got the air assist. Now, one thing they said in here, and it's I sort of believe them just so far from just taking it out of the box, but they said it's 3 steps to put this thing together. So it's apparently you just put the feet on, put on the air assist, attach the laser, you're done. And that's what it looks like. Before I put it together though, let me just give this thing a once over and show you what I find. So the absolute most important thing with something like this, when you're doing 22 watts or even any of this stuff, safety goggles. This is the most important gear here. They included one of these. So this is a little honeycomb table. It's got the backing plate as well. So when you're cutting through stuff, you don't want to kind of burn marks into your table like I've done. I have a bigger one that I bought from my other one, but they included one. So that's super cool. There's also a little toolbox that comes with it as well, which is neat. Extra adapter feet so you can make this thing go higher. Looks like we got the little adjustment here to support objects that are going beyond this, or if you have to angle things, all that good stuff. So this is looking really nice. I quickly checked out the air assist, and it's got a connector like this. So I think it plugs in right here. It looks like it does. Air assist, yeah. You can actually control your air pump through your software. So that's going to be kind of neat too. Flip this over to put the feet on, and this is sort of a nice feature, is depending on how big your workspace is here with your table, bench, whatever you got going on, there's a few different positions. So you can just put the feet into each one. I mean, if you're going to tap one hole, why not tap a few more? So that's smart thinking. The cable management I like with this. So it's sort of all organized already. There might be some little adjustments. We got some Velcro straps so you can adjust things or add things. That's nice, but we have some little clamps here to put everything together. Cable tray, I'm liking that. We got stainless steel fasteners. So this is all looking good. The belts all come pre-tensioned. So we got a belt over here, another belt on the other side, and one here as well. So this is looking pretty good. I can buy the 3 steps. Here we have some limit switches. So on my X tool I have, it's an optical limit switch. This is a mechanical one, so you can see the little button down there. Also, another thing I noticed, they have a cover. So there's a circuit board here. They have like a little plastic cover just to keep stuff out of there, which is quite nice. We have our stepper motor down here, a couple of shafts that go through with the coupling, and will attach onto your pulleys to control everything. Looks like we got some Loctite on the set screw, which is a really good idea because you don't want those to come off. So we're all looking good so far. Step 1 is complete. The feet are on here. We have little rubber dealies here, so that's quite nice to absorb the cushion. One thing I'm noticing on here too, so this is a custom extrusion that they got, and they got their guide rail built right into the extrusion, but this is aluminum. So having it a steel rod that gets pressed in would probably be a little bit better. You can't go with a stainless steel wheel with your bearings here that are going to go along. Yeah, they got some type of plastic. I don't know if that's Delrin. Actually, I don't think that's Delrin, but it's something else. So am curious just with this texture and this going back and forth. This thing moves fast. I am curious how that is going to be for wear and tear. But let's flip this over. So again, the cable management here is looking quite nice. I'm pushing this back and forth, just checking the motion, and I can feel a little bit of a thunk. I put the microphone on, maybe you can hear it, but there'll be a little dunk, dunk, dunk. That might not be a big deal, but if you're going real slow at like 10 millimeters per second, I'm curious how this is going to handle it. Yeah, there's a little bump there. So I used to have to deal with this stuff. We did precision laser measurement systems. One of them was used to measure feet or baby little kids going in there. And especially for the foot one, we go at 10 millimeters per second. So controlling your stepper motors, and then if there's any little kind of jar in the smoothness, it's going to show up in your motion. So there is a test I can do when we do a laser job here. I'll see to suss that out to see if that is an issue. And if it is one, I can probably just get in there and just give it a look. Step 2 is just connect the hose into the pump. There was a little rubber grommet that was on there I took off beforehand, so that's connected. And then the power is just going to go right into the side here. It's probably keyed one way. Let me do this off camera. Okay, there we go. We're plugged in. Looks like we have an airflow adjustment manually. You might be able to do this through the software as well. So that's step 2, and that was pretty damn easy. Step 3 is just going to be put the laser module on here. Again, save this bag, so if you need to take the module off, you've got an anti-static bag to put it in. So the module here, imagine, just slides in something like this here. There we go. A couple of thumb screws on the side. Okay, so we got that on there. Now we're going to connect. This is the air assist hose, so they've already routed the whole thing for you, which is super nice. That just plugs in. This is mega easy. And then here we got our power here for our laser. Let's just organize this a little bit better. Plug it into your connector. And just strap everything together. Okay, we're on there. Yeah, look, that cable organization is really, really good. So that is definitely a nice job they did in all that. So far, I got to say, this is the absolute easiest assembly I've ever seen on something like this. So the 3 steps: put on the feet, plug in the little hose here, and put your laser module on. Like, no tools even required. So this is really great. As far as focusing lasers, looking through this stuff here, so there's actually this little step tool they have here. On my X tool, there is this little sort of kickstand that pops down, and then you adjust it up and down. Here you have this little spacer, essentially, and it will tell you, depending on the thickness of stuff you're trying to cut or engrave, whatever, that will just go off the front face, between the front face and the material that you're doing. So honeycomb tray is in there. Let's see what this home button does. I'm curious. Okay, there we go. Probably hit the limits. There's one. Okay, it bounces it twice. Okay, that's interesting. I like that. It homes the system. That's where the home is. Not going to do much sitting here on its own. It's time to get out the computer and hook this thing up. Almost forgot, another thing they included was this laser engraver enclosure to go around this. That's all to help with the smoke and all that. So let's crack this open and get it together. So here's what it looks like now. So this is a pretty slick unit. There's a zipper goes up in there, but you just put it together, sort of like putting together a little tent. You got a nice little instruction set here. You just follow along, all easy peasy. And then it's got the air outlet with the fan. And so this is pretty slick. So this is filtered, so you don't even have to wear your goggles. It's going to stop the stray laser light, which is really nice. And yeah, you got a nice big enclosure here. The fan connects in here, and then of course you can just route the cable all along. And then there's some little exits for things to get in and out over here too. And then if you want the exhaust on the other side, there's a port here too, just depends. I got my garage door, which I'm going to run it down to. And so same thing, you put your cables in, and here's the exhaust, and I'm just running out the garage door. And there's even a little pouch here. Toolkit goes in there. Fan just powers through a little USB cable here, goes into a port. I only have one port on my laptop, so I just got my little power pack. I'll just plug it into here. And there you go. Now the fan is on. So this is the stuff I have. It's a thin, like 3 millimeter, but it's essentially a medium density fiberboard type stuff. So when you hit it, it just smokes like crazy. So all I did on here is I just did an array of circles, running it 20 millimeters per second, full power. So this should make a nasty smoke show. So I'm going to close up the hood, turn on the fan, and see how we do. Well, I have to tell you, that was kind of nice to not have the place fill up with smoke, because this stuff just stinks. So I'm going to work on my, it's a tiny garage here, so I'll work on something better for the hose. But I'm pretty happy with that. Now let's do something a little more interesting. The next thing I'm going to do is something for the wife here for the garden. So you got some little, I guess they call them garden picks or herb tags or whatever you want to call them. Cut them out, engrave the name on them, put them in the little herb garden there. Just have a couple layers so you can see the settings I'm using there. This is in Lightburn, and I have it all set up. Same thing. I'll try this out and see how it goes. So the job has completed, and I have to tell you, I do like this case, not having to deal with the stinky smell. So let's move this out of the way. I kind of goofed. I did the cutout layer first. I wasn't paying attention for the video, of course, but you do want to engrave first. How you do that is you can just either drag and drop them around to change the order, or you just go on the side, select the layer, and it goes up a level. So now it will do that fill first, and then it will do the cutout. Okay, here the part's nice and easy. You can see the cut is nice and clean. Let's check out the sides here. Yeah, very nice. So I hope the wife will be happy with that. We're going to do something that it's not meant to do. This laser it's a 22 watt laser, and they say it can do up to 15 millimeter thick wood. Well, we got 19 millimeter in here. This test, I don't expect it to pass, but if it does, that's super cool, and it will make a lot of smoke. So let's see how that little fan holds up, and let's get to it. I had audio problems. It wasn't recording when I took it out, and I just realized that now, but the 19 millimeter plywood, it does cut all the way through at 1 millimeter per second, but you can see we got some serious char going on. So that really is pushing the limit, but nonetheless, it can do it. So now I want to try out this stuff, the stainless steel. I've seen some pictures on their site for this machine. They even provide a graphic where you can light the sucker up at different powers and get all sorts of different colors. So that's the cool thing is, these things generate some pretty significant heat. And with stainless steel, when you give it some heat, you can usually do it through like a torch or something, but it will color it. If you've ever seen stainless steel exhaust tips on something, you'll see all sorts of beautiful different colors, or exhaust headers on an engine, something like that. But here we can control it using the laser. It's a controlled heat source essentially as well. And we're going to see what we can do. So I'm going to do a test pattern on here. I think I'm going to shine this up first, because if anything, like titanium, when I anodize it, prep surface material finish will make a huge difference in it. So I'm going to sand this and polish it really quick and get it ready to do a test. I didn't go for a mirror finish because it does have to absorb some energy. And this is the side here we just peel off the protective coating. I've never tried this on stainless steel, but I thought it'd be cool because I could get a stainless steel pen and put some cool patterns on there. So what you do is in Lightburn, there's a cool feature in here. If the first time you're working with material, you go up to laser tools, and then you go to material test, and it has this window. You set up a grid. Now you can save it. So I saved a little time here. I went to my stainless steel power test, and so you can see the parameters I'm running there. You can do a little preview of what it's going to look like. So it's going to run through this. It's going to take about 20 minutes down there. So we are done, and let's see how this looks. So far, I can see we're actually starting to get some colors. Yeah, so it's not the max power range. You can see we have this sort of diagonal line here where there's not really much colors. It's good for engraving. Get nice dark letters on there, but if you want the color, you got to back it down a bit. So I put my microscope over top my phone here just to have a quick look. I think I'm going to have to change some settings. I think the line interval that you can adjust is a little bit too wide. We're getting some gaps in between. And it is interesting, you can see the little bit of a spillover at the end of the lines with the heat map there. So yeah, I'm still going to play with a little bit. And when you get the light just off on the right side, you can see that cool kind of rainbow pattern too. But I think if they just tighten up a little bit more, find the exact power and speed settings. But definitely this is a good example. You can see here the line's interval is just a bit too wide. So well, ideally you just want to make everything touch so we're not seeing any untouched material in between. If you want to just see what some of the numbers look like here with the engraving, it is getting in there pretty good. It's getting pretty dark and deep. And there it is, 100 at 10 millimeters per second. So it's definitely, those are sort of the parameters to use if you want to engrave, not get the color going on. So here's what I got. There was an included type of eagle picture that I'm going to put onto the stainless. What I did is I used my grid on the back as a guide. And so I would set a whole bunch of layers, and just for simplicity, I would sort of make it the similar color as to what I'm getting on here. And then you just go ahead and just change all your settings according to your grid. So I have no idea how this will look. I did change the line interval to 0.06 millimeters from zero point 0.1 to deal with that overlap. That could probably really change these colors actually, but it's getting kind of late here. What time do we got? It's like 1:20 in the morning, so I'm going to hit the go button. Let's see how long this is going to take. About 11 minutes. You can hit play, and then you can just see what's going on, just to give you an idea. So I'm going to look at this really quick, set things up and frame it, and then I'll hit the play button. So here we go. I mean, not bad for a first attempt. The colors didn't show up as vibrant as I was hoping, especially the golds. I'll get you under the microscope in a second. Those blues, the light blues, dark blues, purples show up quite nice. A little bit of green, but then the pinks, they just didn't really make much of an appearance. But overall, it's reasonably clean. I haven't done this before, so not bad for a first attempt, I guess, but let's get you in close. So here's the outline of the eagle. Those lines are reasonably clean and crisp. Let's get down to some colors here. Here we go with some light blues and those nice darker blues and purples. Those came in quite nice. I'm happy with that. I did the line size, the offset there much tighter, so 0.06 versus 0.12. As we get down, the greeny kind of pale blues are okay, and the pinks just didn't really show up too much. Those blues are nice. Oh, there's that gold. It's really not much of anything. Let's go up to the eagle head. Here it is here. Yeah, very, very, very faint. But yeah, those blues and purples and those types of colors, some of the pinks are turning out not too bad. Earlier on, when I did the first unboxing and just kind of inspection, I found that little kind of clunky, tiny little tick-tick motion in the system there. So I thought, let's just test this. So I drew up a file real quick. I already shot this, but then the audio didn't come through. So here we are after the fact. But I put these lines, I think they're 20 millimeters apart, and I ran them at 10 millimeters per second, real slow at a slow angle. So what's going to happen is it's going to cut it like this. And if it hits a little funny spot, because what happens is you have these little stepper motors, and there's encoders inside of this, the rotary encoders, and you got software running it, and so it's going to run it at a constant speed. But if it has a little dunk, like a little fast acceleration, it's going to probably pick up and readjust and do that. So I thought this would be a good test to do this stuff. I used to deal with real slow motion systems on laser carriages before, so I've done this kind of stuff before. And I'm going along here looking for any little hiccups that you would see, any little spikes, and all of these lines are absolutely dead nuts. So what I thought might have been an issue, so far I'm not seeing anything at all. So then for good measure, I flipped the piece over and did this on the back side, some circles here. I'm checking for concentricity to make sure everything's spaced properly, and I did this at really fast, like max speed. I think I did about 400 millimeters per second at 100% power. It's not too dark here, but you can see the lines. And same thing, I went around and inspected this, and everything is perfect. Final little project I'll do before I give my final thoughts is something for my son. So I found this online. It's a little giraffe with an alphabet, and it's a puzzle. So I'm going to cut this out on here, and then I'll do another piece so it can sort of glue together, and this will help him learn the alphabet. So he'll put the pieces together, makes a giraffe, something fun and interactive. I hit the frame button here, and if you can see underneath, what this does is it puts the laser on a very low power. You gotta look through the viewing window to see if it's gonna fit within the frame that you got. So coming down here, we're just inside. So it is a little tricky to get in. You can see I'm trying to see, is that where it's at? And so I line it up with the thing on the side, the little sticker. But a framing crosshair, like on the X tool, would be handy. One thing I thought I would have mentioned, so this, it's acting like a filter, but it's not exactly dialed into the wavelength for this laser, because you can still see it. I don't think anything coming through could potentially cause damage, but you're never too sure. Just to give an example of the difference, here are these glasses, and you're not seeing any of the blue. You see flashes of light, but there's no blue getting through. So just be aware of that. So here's the finished piece here. I put another chunk that was cut out and just glued them together, let that sit overnight, and the pieces just fit in here real nice. So you do have to play with your little kerf settings. I think off the top of my head, mine was like 0.06 millimeters. So that way there's just a nice relief and a nice fit, so it's not too tricky to do. These pieces go in here. I hope my little guy is going to like this. I think this will get him excited about doing his alphabet. So wrapping things up and giving you my final thoughts on this new Creality Falcon 2, I gotta say they've really thought of everything when it's, even the unboxing. Like, no joke, you just take it out of the box, plug a couple things into it, hit the button, you're ready to go. That was really, really awesome. I like that you can control the air assist from the software. Haven't gotten to the rotary yet. I just really want to see how the system works. I do have some projects I'll be doing with that, so stay tuned. But imagine that's going to be working well, so that'll be fun. Toolkit, they give you some supplies. You got the goggles, and you can pull off some of this stuff. So I'm excited to do that. Let's talk about some of the things that, not as big of a fan of, or some little details I thought that could be improved. I would say this is probably the only thing that kind of bugs me is just there's no framing reference unless you're actually hitting the frame button, and then you got to look through the window. So one thing I have on the X Tool D1 Pro, they have that crosshair that really does help when you're moving the laser head around and trying to line things up. So that is one thing I wish they did there. The other thing is just these rails, so they're not steel, and we have some bearings that, well, they're on bearings, but they're a plastic wheel that guides on it. Again, that might be more to a high volume user where that's a problem. So again, I haven't had issues with that, but just I'm thinking long term that could come up. It is USB only. It doesn't have Wi-Fi. However, it does have the whole independent SD card deal. So you can put a file on there and control the thing here from your little panel and just run your job. So if you have someone or yourself, you're just running a bunch of stuff over and over, you don't have to have the computer plugged in. You can just run it this way. This is cool. You got the emergency stop, and it's a really nice button. I think that's a great idea. Same with the keys. You can lock the system out. So this is being shared. Let's say it's at a high school or at a lab or something like that. Someone's got the keys and it's locked out until they want you to use it. I took it off just so you can see the scanner better there, but this whole encasement here, this cover to help take the exhaust out. One thing, the fan down there, it is a little bit weak. You gotta, like when you take your print out, if there's a lot of smoke, you gotta let it sit for maybe 30 seconds, maybe a minute, just to get all the extra smoke out. So one thing you could do if you want is pick up like a 3-inch duct fan, inline one, hook it up and have a little more suction. So thanks again to Creality for sending this to me. Check out in the description down below. There'll be links and codes and all that stuff for you if you want to get more information. Hopefully my son's going to enjoy playing with this little puzzle. I think that's pretty slick. And I'm also excited for the stuff to come. In particular, working with the stainless steel, doing some testing, and then seeing what I can do on a pen. If you have any questions, comments, whatever, down in the comment section, I'll engage with you there. Got a bunch more fun videos coming up, pens, of course, as always, and we'll catch you next time.